Ich würde normalerweise niemals Ursula von der Leyen in Schutz nehmen, aber heute mache ich das kurz, weil Ursula von der Leyen konnte diese Streit mit Amerika über die Zölle nicht gewinnen, weil Ursula von der Leyen kämpft gegen die Realität. Und genauso wie immer, alle linke Gedankengut stößt irgendwann auf die Realität an. Und diesmal ist es durch Donald Trump gekommen. Right? Trump brought reality to the EU bureaucrats with this tariffs deal. Right? So when Donald Trump announced the tariffs, the EU was, again, the EU has this problem that they see themselves as much bigger and more powerful than they really are. These bureaucrats in Brussels, their power hangs only off the weakness of the individual leaders in the countries that it rules over, right? The country's leaders are weak, and so they bow down to the EU bureaucrats who decide for all these individual countries in Europe what they're allowed to do, what they can do and when they can do it, how they have to make things, how they have to do things. And the politicians in these individual countries are weaklings, and so they just bend over and kiss the EU ring. That makes the bureaucrats in the EU believe that they are all powerful, that they can tell every country what to do and how to do it, right? But the reality is they have learned the hard way over and over and over again that doesn't work. You can't be like the junior partner and tell the main partners how they're gonna fucking do shit, right? You can't be the least successful guy in the neighborhood and tell all the successful people in the neighborhood what they should do and how they should do it. And yet the EU bureaucrats seem to think that they can do that. And I said from the beginning, when Trump announced that there were going to be tariffs on these EU countries, I said from the beginning, there is no way for the EU to win, right? They're going to have to bend over and let Donald Trump fuck them in the ass. That's just what's going to happen. And that's what happened, right? That's what happened. But look, not all hope is lost. This is actually a good thing for the European countries. I'm going to explain why in a second. Look, the reality is, right, what the EU bureaucrats envision in their brain when they think they're going to do stuff like this is, they, like I said, they are so used to being able to just pick up the phone, call any leader of any European country, any EU country, and say, you will start producing plastic bottles with the caps attached to the bottles, so the cap don't get separated, because we think that's a good way to fight climate change. And so all the European countries are, okay, we'll force our business to do that. And yeah, that's going to cost them extra money, but it's okay. The EU said so. They're used to all these people cowering for them. And they think that Donald Trump or Putin is going to do the same thing. And again, they got hit with reality. Just like they're being hit with reality in the Ukraine war, they're being hit with reality on this tariff deal with Trump. And there's reason for it, right? Look, the way Trump sees it, the EU owes America a shitload of money. Why? For all the defense they've been enjoying over the decades that NATO has been around and they've been part of NATO, right? They've also have a big trade deficit for the longest time. And this is because of policies made by previous presidents. And Trump is like, look, just because previous presidents did this and previous administrations let the EU take complete advantage of America doesn't mean I'm going to continue to do it. And he's right. He shouldn't. I wouldn't do it either. Right? I wouldn't do it either. So in Trump's mind, the EU owes him. Right? And never ever will he get the short end of the stick if you owe him. And nobody should. That's how you negotiate shit. Right? What Friedrich Merz is doing here in Germany, letting the loser party of the election tell his party what to do, how to govern, when to do it, who to vote for, and when to vote for them, is insane. In the rest of the world, in reality, things don't work like that, right? It doesn't work like that in reality. And Ursula von der Leyen got presented with reality by Donald Trump. The reality is the EU is the underling for America. And that's because of EU, right? That's not the fault of America. The EU has made itself the minion of the United States for decades. And Donald Trump wants the EU to stand on its own 2 feet so that they have negotiating power, which they right now do not, right? If you're negotiating with somebody who has a gun to your head, you are not in the strong position to negotiate. You're basically going to have to just do whatever they say and talk your way out of it, right? That's the position the EU is in at the moment. And they got themselves into this position. They said long ago, please, America, take care of us in case something ever happens with Russia or any other country. Please fight for us because we want to be able to give away free money to illegal immigrants and social programs and all kinds of crazy bullshit welfare shit instead of making the country stand on its own. We need money for that. And so the only way to do that is we don't have to invest in defense. And America said, okay, we'll foot the bill. No problem. Go ahead and have your welfare socialist utopia in the EU, and we will foot the bill for it. Well, not Donald Trump. He's not going to do that, and he's right not to. So Donald Trump said to Ursula von der Leyen, look, the only way is you're going to pay 15% and we're going to pay nothing. Now, I really hope that means that Donald Trump is not going to stand for a lot of these stupid regulations that the Europe has, because that will make the EU change course, right? And it's also going to cause giant rifts within the EU countries, because at some point, one of the country's leaders is going to wake up and go, this is really bad for us. Maybe we should negotiate a separate deal with Donald Trump and fuck what the EU did. Hey, there's the idea. See, Donald Trump happens to always be a couple steps ahead of the game, right? He just happens to be a couple steps ahead all the time. Every time that people have said, oh, that's never going to work, he's never going to be able to do it, it's not going to happen, he's never going to get that done, it's happened, right? Now, there are some things that haven't happened yet. We'll see what happens. But Donald Trump's going to get his way with this kind of stuff, and that's because he's got EU by the fucking balls, right? That's it. And the EU brought themselves in that own position. Thanks to your incompetent fucking loser leaders, they have maneuvered your countries into a position where they are dependent on the United States for a lot of stuff, right? And so when you're in that position, you can't tell that person or that country what to do. It just doesn't go like that in reality. It does in leftist utopia land. In their brain, in their mind, they think that they can just tell everybody what to do. They think they can finger wag their way into everybody's business, right? But it just doesn't work like that in reality. So the EU has to bend down, let Donald Trump fuck him a little bit, right? And then the individual countries in the EU have to start thinking about the benefit of their citizens. That means their benefit of their citizens comes before the benefit of the EU bureaucrats. And it's going to happen. Now, I would say Friedrich Merz could finally grow some balls. Probably not going to, though. And call Donald Trump and say, look, this deal that Ursula von der Leyen made is fucked. We don't want that deal. Let's make a separate deal. Hey, if Friedrich Merz is not going to do that, right? I don't think he's going to do it. But some country will. And once one does, the other countries are going to say, well, wait a minute. If they can make a deal with Trump, then we can make a deal with Trump. And suddenly, the EU bureaucrats are no longer as powerful as they think they are, right? Again, they have no power. They have only power through the weakness of our leaders, right? So-called leaders. They're servants. They're not leaders. People should also stop calling them leaders. Friedrich Merz is the leader of nothing. He's a ballless pussy that couldn't lead anything. I wouldn't let him lead a fucking classroom full of 5-year-olds, right? Not at all. His weakness is dangerous, and he is not alone. A lot of these European country politicians have been weak-kneed pussies when it comes to these EU bureaucrats and everything else, right? And so what this tariff thing is going to do is it's going to force these countries to start standing on their own 2 feet. They're going to get pressure, right? Do you not think that the car makers here in Germany are going to start pressuring the government to do fucking something? They are. And if the government doesn't do anything, the companies are going to go to America or open production halls in America to avoid the fucking tariffs, right? And all the regulation, because America has much less bullshit regulation. Much, much less. So it would be more profitable, more suitable, and less stressful for any company doing business in Europe to just move to America and do business there. Now, the politicians won't want that. It's not good for the economy if that happens. So they're going to have to cut some sort of deal. Their first instinct is going to be, oh, well, let's subsidize them. But I'm sure that for a lot of businesses, that is not going to cut it anymore, because even with subsidies here in Germany, the sky or the grass is still greener in America. And Trump knows that. He knows that this deal is going to put an enormous amount of pressure on the politicians in these individual countries. Trump did not want to do a deal with the EU. Trump wanted to do a deal with individual countries, as it should be, because he regards the EU as a bureaucratic monster, a bureaucratic regulation monster that just stifles growth and innovation. And he's right, they do. But since the EU has somehow the power to forbid the countries to do their own deal, which is insane, right? Insane. Another sign of weakness from the countries, right? Trump can only do a deal with Ursula von der Leyen. So he said, all right, then this is the deal. We pay nothing, you pay 15%, end of story, have a nice day. And you're going to go out on TV and say this is the greatest mega deal anybody's ever made in their whole life. And you're going to sit there and smile about it while I talk shit about your stupid fucking windmills and your stupid climate policies that just makes everything more expensive. And you won't say a goddamn thing. You're going to sit there like a good little bitch and fucking laugh and smile for the camera while I totally destroy your policies. That's how you play politics, people. Like that. Not like Friedrich Merz, which ties one hand behind his back and goes to a fucking gunfight with a butter knife, right? No. You do politics like Donald Trump, right? Gun to the head. No. Fuck that. Stupid fucking windmills gotta go. They're never coming to America. Kiss my ass with that shit. I don't care how stupid you feel. I don't care how embarrassed you are. Fuck you. You are wrong. And Donald Trump is right in this case. So what this is going to do is going to cause a bunch of negative pressure within the countries of the European Union. And I think it's going to start at least a major shift, right? A major shift. Because it's going to force competition, which is necessary for the market, right? And all the people that are fucking out there crying about, oh my God, now we're going to have to eat fucking chlorine-filled chicken. Listen, that is bullshit, okay? They wash the chicken off with some chlorine substance. They don't fucking inject it into the chicken. That's craziness, right? But even then, how about adult human beings can decide for themselves what they do, right? They want to have American chicken with chlorine on it. Let them fucking buy it, right? But they can choose. It's not like that American chicken is going to replace European chickens. We got a lot of chickens. We don't really need American chicken, right? And the market will see when people are not buying American chicken producers will stop shipping it to Europe. Simple as that. The market decides what's popular and what's not a bunch of EU bureaucrat losers who don't know the ass from their elbow, right, and couldn't fight themselves out of a paper bag, are weak at the knees, completely ballless, and have no vision for the future of these countries. So, yeah, how about the regular people just decide like adults how they live their lives, what they buy, when they buy it, who they buy it from, at what price? How about that? Huh? I think that's what's going to start happening. Now, yes, the EU is still going to put up a fight, right? They're still going to try to force America to follow all of the what's it called? All of their stupid regulation guidelines. So if America wants to produce a drink here in Europe, they're going to have to make the bottle caps attached to the fucking bottle and all this bullshit. America's not going to do that, right? I don't think Trump is going to stand for that. I think if the EU tries to do that, Trump will say, listen, you are violating our agreement, and therefore we're going to screw up the fucking tariff to 30%. If you continue, it's 50, right? If you keep fucking around, it's going to be 100. Because the fact is, America doesn't need Europe, right? America does not need the EU for anything. Nothing. Right? And the things that they need, they will just invite over. And those things will go there. Simple as that. They need car makers. They'll just go, hey, we got a good deal for you guys. Come make cars here. Right? No fucking bullshit regulations about what color the tail lights have to be, and fucking no tariffs. You can sell to the American market, you can sell to the European market with zero tariffs and less regulation, more opportunity, more fucking profit. How about you guys come here and do that? And everybody's going to be like, all right, let's go. Right? So it's not that difficult, this shit. It's not fucking rocket science, right? The shit that's going to happen is gonna eventually be good for us regular people. Right now, for big business, it sucks. Yeah? For them, it sucks, right? Because they lose a giant portion of their profit because now the tables have turned on them. Now it's not that EU is taxing or tariffing or regulating America into the dirt, right? No, now it's the other way around, right? So for European businesses, it's gonna be tough. But hey, for us, regular people and consumers, it's gonna be good. Because you know why? Because finally there's a force bigger than these EU bureaucrat losers that is going to whip these people into fucking line. And all their insane, unrealistic, ridiculous policies will have to be rethought. How are they going to continue the Green Deal shit and Verbrenner aus and all that bullshit? How are they going to continue that when they have to buy fucking 700 billion euro of oil and gas and fucking all kinds of shit, coal, whatever, from America? That's the deal Ursula von der Leyen signed. We're going to have plenty of fossil fuels. You know why Trump's doing that? He's like, look, fossil fuels is something we need in order to get growth, in order to be innovative, in order to make products, in order to live and survive. Energy has to be cheaper, right? And so he is pushing them away from this Green Deal, windmill, bullshit, ridiculous crap, right? And that's good. It's going to cause a shakeup, people. And a shakeup is what we need. It's a great start. I love it that Donald Trump is also helping us regular people here in Europe who are powerless against these fucking morons in the EU because our so-called leaders bow down to them, right? So now we've got somebody bigger on our side, which is great, right? Hopefully that will, Donald Trump's big dick energy will get into the German and the European public just a little bit, right? And people will be like, hey, wait a minute. This dude is right? These fucking bureaucrats in Europe are ridiculous. I mean, it's coming through more and more, isn't it? I mean, people are starting to wake up. The EU shit is broken. They fucked it, right? The original idea was great, but it's fucked now. There's no reform. It's got to break up, right? It's got to break up. It's ridiculous. You can't have an unelected fucking bureaucratic monster in another country regulate and fucking dictate your country what they're going to do and call it a fucking free market democracy is ridiculous on its face to even think that that's the case, right? To start and to perpetuate that idea out into the world that you live in a moral, capitalistic democracy society. That's not true. That's not true at all. You're being ruled over by a bunch of unelected fucking morons that I said already couldn't find their way out of a fucking paper bag. These people are incompetent morons, right? It's like having a bunch of Forrest Gumps fucking running the show for your country. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So I think instead of because what Friedrich Merz and the other European politicians are going to try to do is they're going to try to make the failure of their economies Donald Trump's fault, and they're going to try to turn you, the people, against Donald Trump and give them they're going to be and like kind of cleanse them of their guilt. No. Actually, the people of Europe, the people should be behind Donald Trump, right? Against these moron leaders, right? You should be behind Donald Trump, 100%, because he is the one that is standing in for the strong politician that you're supposed to have in your country, right? He's going to shake things up, and I'm all for it. Yeah, maybe it's going to hurt a little bit, okay, but that is not Donald Trump's fault. That is your politician's fault completely. It lies completely at their feet. So don't fall for the propaganda by going, oh, Donald Trump's mean and Donald Trump's bad because he's making us pay more than blah, blah, blah. Look, it is all the fault of the European politicians that they are in this position today, right? Like I said, leftist bullshit doesn't work in reality. And every time leftist bullshit gets put into place, reality wins every time. Every time socialism's been tried, reality won in the end, usually with a whole bunch of unnecessary deaths. But it wins, right? That's why socialism doesn't work at all. We saw it, we know it, we see it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? It hasn't worked at all. So leftism gets met with reality every time, and Donald Trump is the bringer of the reality in this case. He's just helping it along a little bit faster. So don't freak out. Don't freak out. It's going to be fine, right? No reason to fucking trip out. At worst, you're going to get a bunch of cool American products for cheaper price than the shit that they sell here, right? Not everything's going to be good. I would stay away from some of the food stuff, although some of it's really good. Just eat it in measured quantities, right? You don't want to end up looking like Americans. You know what I mean? That's going to be bad, okay? So, everything depends on quantity, right? Everything depends on quantity. So take it easy when some of the good stuff comes, But look, it's going to force competition. It's going to force pressure onto the politicians to go against the EU's wishes. And that is going to start an avalanche of people and countries and politicians in those countries being forced to finally take into consideration the well-being of the people, the businesses, and the economy in their own countries. And that is what we need in the EU for sure. So thank Donald Trump for this. He has done something good, whether you see it or not right now. It's going to be good. Okay? It's going to be good. Because he's starting the shakeup that we need to have here. Right? We need it. We need these people to be confronted with the reality that their insane bullshit does not work in the real world anymore. Right? It's all been smoke and mirrors. It's all been held up high by people who've been lying to us all this time. Nothing they've said has ever come true. It's all been bullshit. And we need this bullshit to change. And the only way it's going to change is if you shake the tree. And Donald Trump is shaking the fucking tree. And so therefore, these tariffs are great, great, great. Right? It's about time. Thank God somebody is doing something against these morons. It's actually the more I talk about it, the better I feel about it. Really, it's gonna be great, right? And hey, look, it's up to the politicians in these countries to fix this problem. By going, well, Donald Trump is bad, it's not gonna fix the problem. Nobody's gonna fucking care. Donald Trump, not at all. He's not gonna give a fuck, right? He does not give a fuck. Right? He just doesn't. And so they can either continue to try and scream about Donald Trump, or they can get their shit together and solve the issue to the best that they can for their countries and their people. That's what Friedrich Merz's job is in Germany. He may think that he's the world leader, that he's out in every fucking country wagging his finger and, shaking hands and telling everybody how Germany's going to change the planet and save the planet from climate change in the hottest summer. Right now it's 14 degrees and rainy. Okay? It's been raining for 2 weeks, right? It hasn't been over 25 degrees in 2 weeks. So the hottest summer ever. Get the fuck out of here. Look, it's Friedrich Merz's job as chancellor to do what he has to do to benefit the people of this country. And if that means that he's going to have to slough off Ursula von der Leyen's bullshit deal and call Donald Trump and say, look, dude, we have mega car exports, great for you, great for us, let's make a better deal. And fuck the EU and Ursula von der Leyen. That's going to be what Friedrich Merz has to do. And he probably won't do it, but there are going to be leaders in Europe that are going to do it, right? And look, if the AfD was in power, they would do it. They'd be on the phone right now talking to Donald Trump saying, yo, Ursula von der Leyen does not represent us. I'm sorry. I don't know what she told you, but this is ridiculous. Let's make a better deal. Donald Trump will do it. He'll do it. I'm almost 100% sure. It's that I can't look into his head, that I can't promise, right? But I'm pretty sure he'll go for it. He'll make something better with Germany on its own than he does with Ursula von der Leyen for the EU. Because you know what? He doesn't care about Ursula von der Leyen. He doesn't respect Ursula von der Leyen. To him, Ursula von der Leyen is illegitimate, non-elected, non-democratic, fucking ruler over a system that these cowardly politicians have allowed to come in place. And so he'll do a deal with her, but it's not going to be near as good as the deal he'll do with the individual countries. And Germany has something to offer for sure. They could definitely make a better deal. So, hey, make the politicians earn their goddamn money. Go and make a better deal. That's all I got, people. Don't trip out about this. Don't believe the propaganda. It's all going to be good in the end for us, the people, in these countries in Europe. That's what it's going to happen. And hopefully the tide changes before Trump has to go, right? Because we don't know what's going to come after him. And hopefully he does a bunch of stuff that works so well that people are not going to be willing to change it when he goes. I think that's where this is going. So let's hope that our politicians finally get their head out of their ass, finally get their tongues out of the EU's ass, right? And start making autonomous decisions for themselves and their countries and the people that live in those countries. That would be fantastic. We've been begging them to do it for decades. They haven't done it. Now they're going to be forced. And that's exactly what we need. All right, people, take it easy. Don't trip. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.